Despite the poverty that assaulted him from every corner of the empire's second largest city, Joseph Cantwell had something to inspire him, a raging idealism and optimism for the future of his country and his class. Over the next few years, he would become part of the most tumultuous period in recent Irish history.
He wanted to be a radio officer. In order to earn his fees, he fought as a boxer in a place in Pearse Street, which was called the Ancient Concert Rooms, where they put up prize fighters, and that way he earned his fees for college to go to radio school.
There was 11 children, but only 9 of them survived. The children died those days from the flu, because there were no antibiotics or nothing like that, and consumption, all those things. They had a hard life, and he saw no assistance from anywhere. The government didn't care about anyone.
What is most striking about the living conditions in Dublin in the early 20th century is the sheer abject poverty in which so many of the people of the city lived. Housing was extremely poor, sanitation was extremely poor, the death rate was incredibly high, the numbers of children who died in childbirth and in the early years of their lives was incredibly high.
His father was a carpenter, and they were obviously they wouldn't have been rich.
Like thousands of others, Joseph became infatuated with trade unionism. He turned his passion into a career when he turned 18, becoming a clerk for the Irish Transport and General Workers Union, the largest union in the United Kingdom.
He worked for Irish Transport and General Workers Union. Their periodical was called The Voice of Labour, which campaigned against the establishment.
He was a socialist, out and out socialist, in the vein of the great socialist thinkers in England and that. He was more than just a trade unionist.
Joseph Cantwell was a very talented artist and pianist. He became friends with Constance Markovich and George Russell through the art school on Kildare Street. Joseph would accompany them on artist retreats to the Wicklow Hills. This is a photo of Joseph showing his artwork to Maurice McGonaghy, Manus Miller, S. Slater and Dermot O'Brien. This picture demonstrates Joseph's shyness as he hides behind his work bashfully.
In order to embellish all this effort, he used his ability as an artist to do all these beautiful cartoons, making political points and critical points of the government.
The IRA had set up their own government, their own internal government in exile, and they were still fighting the British here. And he set up a receiver in his house, in his old home, with the copper wire strung out along the back, which was supposedly a clothesline. When the British government, I presume the War Office, would signal the Dublin Castle here, which was the centre of British power then. He would get the signal at the same time, and I think this is how Collins broke the military code.
Joseph's cartoon work is very artistic and gentle, and his passion for politics and Ireland are represented in both. The first one demonstrates his belief in the Irish Republican power, showing Father Time promising a brighter future to the young Labour man.
They were all in black and white. There was no colour then, but they were really beautifully done.
The second cartoon demonstrates a change of heart in Joseph's political position, as it discusses taxes that were imposed by the Irish government after the Civil War, and demonstrates his lack of respect for the movement that he once fought for.
There's one or two cartoons I remember. Do you remember there was one of Bill O'Brien? And Bill O'Brien is he's giving his employees a very hard time, and it's Christmas time, and you just see Bill O'Brien, a big fat man with a big plum pudding on the table, and a turkey and everything. In the meantime, his workers were starving.
Did some more artistic work for a very famous magazine called The Dublin Opinion. He did quite a number for them, because I think he knew the owner of it.
Charles
He was a friend, It was nothing to us at home to see him doing cartoons on the table and stuff like that.
When you look back at the cartoons of the revolutionary period, what is most striking about them is their brilliance, how evocative they were of certain sentiments, how they could shape sentiment, as well as reflect the views that were held by the people who drew them and the people who watched them.
The new government had come in, you know, and they were interested in setting up the National Health. So they seconded him from the union to set it up for the government. He was working there for I don't know how many years, but finally he decided he'd go out on his own. So he bought a shop.
Joseph lost interest in Irish politics, but he never lost his idealism. Joseph's life tells one of many stories that demonstrate the fight to take back human rights of the new Irish generation. His passion suggests that there was more than just nationality to the struggle of independence. It was also fueled by the fervour of fairness, equality, and the justification of civil liberties for all.